as high a level. So when you're losing to teams, you know, in some regard, it just I feel like this isn't really a good pick for them. But like you said, you got some players from like Dia, his performances. You got some of the Timberman guys. You have some of the former Nouns players on this group. Like it's kind of a weird mixture, but maybe they can pull something together here, right? That's kind of the unknown factor about getting info, but I guess we're gonna find out because we're getting in this darn thing right away.
Okay, so it does look like Carson will be here. So I believe this is that Timberman core that is playing today with alongside Shane and Carson. But we'll see how getting info fares today as the T side of Legacy go charging in through the donut from middle, trying to solidify this plant straight away and set themselves up for a 5v5 post plant with no kit in play. That's going to leave getting info having to pull the trigger as fast as possible. And look at them going flying off to the races. Every kill forming into their favor until Lux has something to say about it. But there on the dual Berettas, 10 HP to spare. And getting info do get that flying pistol start straight away.
Yeah, they sure do, right? And I mean, like, it was looking actually pretty decent for Legacy, too. Like, the fact that it was right down to the wire with, like, 5 HP to spare on both these guys. Like, the mollies were a good placement. It just felt like maybe a little bit of an overpeak at certain times, but nonetheless, I mean, getting info to be able to start the pistol off, that's going to be huge for them, especially on the CT side. It's going to be a nice little bit of a boost, but Legacy going for the plant was great. Just, again, going to add some of that coin, but you know, I think for getting info, like you said, the fact that Carson is here and it is that Timberman core, this to me actually could change things a little bit because I was a little bit, you know, nervous, if I'm going to be honest, that Nunes was kind of playing originally just because he's kind of been not as familiar with the system.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty tried and true combo, but they're still going to try to up the tempo here, Legacy. None of that Mecha's nonsense where they slow the pace of the round down. They just want to keep attacking this A bomb site, and they find themselves to entry. The dink for Sadzin converted into a kill as well. But this C4 still is yet to hit dirt. Finally, they're going to try to plant it yet again behind the default box. And it will go down. 2v2 with Lux hurt means that there's got to be an instant trade, and there it is. Dumao thrust into the clutch against Dia, highest rated player on the other side of the equation, and he's been spotted. But the headshot from Dumao is cleaner, and that fast, aggressive pace onto that A site works the second time around.
I love that too, right? The fact, like you said, it's none of this Nikis, you know, nonsense. It's not taking things super slow. Like, these guys are like, you know what? We got Tech 9s. Let's just go for the quick pop at A. Let's not mess around. Let's just go for it. Let's see what happens. And honestly, I think it was even Sodson was able to put himself at the double kill, so that just allowed a lot of space to be created. So I was talking just about getting info, having, you know, the Timberman core. I'm like, yeah, you know, this could be different. And then, you know, I eat my own words here, Paladin. And then they lose some running Tech 9s. It's never going to feel good for any team on that receiving end. But now, I mean, kind of an interesting one because Legacy have put themselves in a bit of a power play in the sense that, you know, now, economy-wise, getting info, they're kind of in the dirt.
Oh, yeah. 5-7s do pack a mean punch, though. B-Execute coming in, popping open the smoke, and Dumao will find himself that response. Lotto there to help entry into this site, but Markey still on the B bomb site, lives to get at least one. This bomb should be able to go down in the 3v3. You'd favor the T side, especially considering the lack of utility, the lack of kits. But Carson is pretty fast on this flank. He has an opportunity. If he clears his angles correctly, maybe there's an opportunity. But Lux takes his mark very clearly. Dia caught, or Dare rather, caught with nades in his hands. And the 3v3 is passed with flying colors there by Legacy. And now we get a little bit of a chance to rest our voices and kind of think about this matchup a little bit more.
Yeah, and the one thing I really appreciated that you brought up too, and I think it's actually really important, is the fact that, you know, when we talk about the stats of this getting info team is, you know, I think you use the phrase is like, you know, Dia is the winning factor. Like, he has to be performing, whereas someone like Sodson is not necessarily that case. So it's interesting because it really does put a lot more pressure on a team like getting info to have a player like that, because if he doesn't perform, I mean, you're gonna have a bad time. Let's just be honest.
I will say Markey is that player that I'm a little bit more excited for, where I've seen the kind of takeover maps he's had in his career, and I still think that he's got that juice to produce, but it comes back to the fact that this team is such a hodgepodge roster, right? We don't necessarily know what the MRQ roster is going to look like. Is it going to have Shane in it? Is it going to have Carson still in the ranks? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But the fact of the matter is you've got two pieces that are very exciting, that in Marky and Dia, that no matter what roster they do pose, you're looking at these two guys and you're saying, what can you produce? What can the supporting cast around them help to facilitate these two players? And I guess the only time will tell. Games like this really do answer those questions a little bit more. And again, as we inch ever closer to Austin, I think we'll have the full story. But for right now, the guns will come back out for getting info. No AWP for Dia to start things off. But we'll see if they can keep up with this up-tempo style that Legacy have showcased in the first two rounds. I don't necessarily know if they're going to do it again, but it's certainly catching getting info off guard for those initial entries.
Yeah, it really is. I'm liking the tempo change. Oh, man. They're going to do it again. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yes, indeed, they will. Instead of just lurking everything out, I mean, getting info, yes, they've got the intel that mid is going to be in their control, but it's been lost. Legacy being able to get a free A site. And already now, you got some players deep in temple, pushing through. Lana's able to find the first opening duel. So the power player we talked about, Dia, he's already removed as a threat. Now maybe even Marky, the person that you said, the juice to produce, or I can't even remember the phrase you used. I mean, now there's a lot of reliance on him, but this is a tough one because, again, you got the 5-on-4 and the post plants again. The positioning is great, and now these guys have to get a kill or two quickly. Otherwise, they might just have to abandon the ship and just let this one go, and it's starting to look like that's going to be the case because now everybody's just getting picked apart from Dumal here in CT spawn, and I don't even think we're going to see Dare survive. Indeed, we will not, and Dumal going on a hunting spree and finds himself a triple kill.
That's what you love to see if you're a Brazilian fan. Legacy tearing through that A defense, and it's such a sick call from Lux. It's a very tried and true method that, you know, once the guns come out for the CTs, they're gonna try to go for mid control. They're gonna probably put an extra body there, so why not call the air pop straight away? That instant execution, running smokes as well, it completely catches the CTs off guard. There's nobody on the site proper, and honestly, add insult to injury, you're getting kills through smoke if you're Lux. And from then on out, it's easy breezy once that bomb goes down. But here's a little bit of aggression. The lane crunch looks good, but the trades are even better here for Legacy. Guns are recovered, or should be recovered. Sadzin blows one away. Try their hand here. Marky as well. It's Dia up in a clutch, and there's just so many bodies that getting info have to get through, and they never can really chew through that T side. And Legacy will bound their way to a quick 5-1 start here.
Yeah, it's a really nice start, and I'm kind of wondering, you know, especially if getting the info or getting kind of ready to get the timeout maybe ready to go too, because I mean, look, I mean, we're in round 7. I mean, you're down by 4. I mean, this is going to be the purchase, but I imagine if this round does not come through for getting info, we must be able to see a stop on this. Like, they got to be able to get some control back in this game, because Legacy have honestly been able to find some pretty convincing rounds. They're just going to hightail it once again. They're not even going to wait. They're going to abuse the Molotovs, and like you said, Lux is somebody that's been a player to watch. And he's able to find a decent opener with finally a little bit of reply from Dare, but it could just be a little bit too late now. I mean, the players are doubling cave, but they're just getting already bombarded with utility. This is already looking worse for wear right now, Paladin. I do not like this for getting info. They might just, again, need to keep these guns in the pocket. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, they're just not winning fights at this point. That's one of those situations where they've just got to stand and deliver, but losing cave, losing long as fast as they are, really is a cause for concern. Shane and Marky out of their depth, and yet again Dumal smells blood in the water. He wants to go hunting, and he'll find this first bit of prey. Dia and Carson, tail between legs, gonna try to scamper away, and they should be fine. I don't think Dumal's gonna overstep the mark here, but getting out of hand. Oh, Dia would have loved to get that one at the end of it, but still 6 rounds the good here for Legacy, and Lux is putting on a clinic here. Yes, he only has 3 kills so far, but he is doing the damage from a calling perspective.
You know, and it's such a good point you bring up too. Is just like if the gunfights, it just feels like Legacy are just so many tiers above right now, right? And they're just winning every single situation. Nobody on Getting Info's really been able to like hit a punch at all. Just feels like they're the punching bags. I mean, this is one of the coolest things we've seen the whole time. As Carson goes with a nice little bit of a boost, might be able to get himself a nice double. Okay, but him and Marky together. Nice little bit of a jab cross. It will find something of success. Puts him in a man advantage, which has not happened at all this game. Legacy realizing, you know what? Let's take A. Let's go back to this site. Let's just get control. We're going to be able to run into this. The M4 makes some damage, not able to get the kill. Now the post plant comes in, but there's Dia already close onto their tail. Now they have to go for the hunt. This is where numbers could be an advantage for Getting Info, but it dwindles quickly. Leaving it now for Legacy. Playing the one-on-ones. Now they're going to be using Dumao and Donut. Sodzin going to be the one that just burns the time from Big Box. Now Shane and Marky needing to find something. A little bit of a tag against Marky. Smokes come in. Sodzin to get the perfect timing. And there it is. Not even the diffuser. And he's able to find a kill. And now Shane is just kind of scratching his head, wondering how in the hell have we lost this situation. And Ninja defuse, though. Oh, no way. Not like this. And it will get defused. I was thinking it was never going to happen. And Shane even able to pick up a collat for insult to injury.
That's insane. I mean, Legacy play that as well as they can. You know, you've got the player in Donut falling all the way back, forcing the 5-7 to cut distance. And you've even got the player stuck in A main, but I don't know, maybe he picked up a kit there or something. I don't know how that defuse came through as fast as it did. But that smoke, I think, really just caused some concern there for Legacy. Unaware of where it was positioned, and the spams were just off the mark on both ends. But they're going to go back to this mid-take, and Dumao will consistently find damage. Instant entry and mid-control makes this a great round for Legacy. And they've pushed Marky off a front jag as well. So every little bit of contentious map control in the favor of the T's.
Yeah, look at how well they're just getting map control too, right? Like Legacy is just point a finger and they get it. Like you said, I mean, Marky's had to reposition himself now, and Diaz does have the op. So this will be a nice little bit of a boost for them, hopefully, but back to a 4-4. Smoke's going to be placed here nicely on long, but again, is it going to be enough, though? And Legacy's still kind of committed to this. Now we're starting to see the CT rifles maybe ignite a little bit more. A big advantage right now for getting info. Nissim should be a dead man, and indeed he will be. Unless we see something heroic from Lux. I mean, this is gonna have to hit every shot, but man, that was crispy. Just wasn't enough.
It felt like he read the flick back, and that's what I was believing there just for a short second. But a little bit overzealous there from Legacy. They try to jump through the lane smoke, and I don't necessarily know if they necessarily needed to, especially considering you've got front jag control. You could advance back, re-clear out mid, maybe go back A late. It's a site that you've been able to get a lot of great rounds in your favor. But maybe that first misstep that I've really seen from Legacy, I'll give them a pass on the Ninja, but here, that's one of those that maybe could have slowed down just a little bit. This space has been very kind to them, and the opening kills have been very kind as well. Shane will fall, and this B-bomb site also a problem. Carson thinking of trying to pull things back with a deep nade, blows a smoke open, and Dumao gets caught with his pants down. Getting info tight back to a 4-on-4, but there's still threats looming around every corner. There's still Lux close on Donut, and you've still got B utility coming through.
Yeah, this Marky and Dara setup is decent, but again, I was gonna say he's not able to spot. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that just sucks. He knows exactly. He's got the perfect read. It's more about is he gonna be right or is he gonna be left? And unfortunately for him, he doesn't get the gamble. He doesn't get it correctly. So getting info, good job and able to win a fight that I was thinking Lotto might have been able to mastermind his way to getting something done in Jag, but now getting info, finally getting themselves a little bit back in fighting form like we were kind of expecting. It took a while. It took some beating, but unless we see something from Nissim on the clutch here for 25 seconds, might be able to get himself into the A site across for a plant potentially. The noise cue is going to be made. CT is going to be hot on his tail. But this post plant is going to be so critical here because, again, he has to be able to get the plant down, then has to either reposition himself towards a main or even re-aggress into Donut. But looks like he wants to go for the fight. Nice shot against Marky. Still knowing that one player is there at least. Not even hesitating anywhere else. Now he's put his eyes on the prize here of Donut. Look at the one-on-one fights from Dare, and he's going to be able to find it. So, all right. Job gets done nicely here from getting info.
I was a little worried there. Crosshair was just slightly off, preparing for more of a headshot angle, but Nissa makes it close. Really odd situation there in Cave. I mean, when you see a backpack like that, I would really consider just a close right angle, but yeah, I think the left angle also is a very powerful crossfire at that point. It is a 50-50, and he just chooses wrong. And I think what makes it worse is the fact that his teammate behind him had either a knife out or a utility, and just gets caught completely with no chance to trade. And if you could at least go 1-for-1 there, considering he had the bomb, you could completely write it off and say, okay, it's all fine. But instead, Legacy are down to their last pennies. Back 10 on Sadzin, and to make matters worse, Dare's found one straight through the smoke. Legacy now have to slow it down in a man disadvantage against a getting info squad that's slowly starting to heat up here, lads.
Yeah, they really are. They're starting to look a lot better. Honestly, I was just so surprised, like, just how bad of a beating it was, and they weren't calling a timeout. They weren't doing anything at all. I was thinking, something's wrong. But you know what? Maybe they just really needed a couple slaps, and now they're feeling a lot better, because right now they've been able to win these opening fights. They've been able to put themselves in better positions so far. And now Legacy have shown us they have some good tactics, but now they're going to go right back for the donut control that they get, but it's Dia. Threat here, the playmaker. Now needing to come up even bigger because his teammate Carson's going to go down quickly. So Dia's going to have to unfortunately play the retake position, but all 4 players in CT spawn. But what do we see from Legacy? This is important again. Utility has been dispersed. Nothing available. It's just the AKs now. Lotto down to 12 HP. So leaving a lot of reliance here that Lotto's going to have to be the sacrificial lamb on this. Here's the noise cue. Not able to find the duel. I think there's only the one piece of utility, but Sodzen's able to find this double kill. This makes things a little bit more interesting now. Getting info. A tease to the defuse. A swing coming in. Nissam with the kill, and now the defuse gets on, but he's going to stick it. You got to go. You got to get these shots. Oh my god, just barely again.
He keeps thinking that that deal will get off of it, and especially if that you got donut control there, it's hard to stick the bomb because you know it's a pretty much a death trap. But Legacy, they love their A post plants, man. They've been just getting it done in the clutch. Yes, they've had a couple of missteps here and there, but for the most part, they understand those angles to a T, and they're really pushing getting info to the brink. And now you can see the potency of this rifle core, the clutch potential out of any player on this Legacy roster, and how this unit is quickly switching to another gear as an NA major looms. And what a time to do it. Trying to get past whatever hump they were on for months at a time in the 2024 season and become much, much better than what these pieces have shown in months past. They've got a real opportunity to do it. Showing that kind of form right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, with the last minute remaining too. A little bit more patience now. Legacy, and now they're trying to go for the pounce, and alright, so this Cheetah Marky now able to take him out with a double kill. All right, the MP9 is able to make some connections. Sodzen once again. Somebody we were talking about doesn't need to be a playmaker. Looking like that might be the case here on T side of Ancient. Now leaving it to the 2-on-4, but there's a big flank right now from Dumao. This is a critical position from him, but I think he's been compromised. All 3 CTs seem to have an idea of it. And now all of a sudden this round is really just flipped around on its head. Leaving Sodzen now in a tough moment, in a tough position here to make the connections. 4 bullets in the chamber, 4 enemies, able to find the one. Quick switching back, not gonna matter because getting info, they just able to get themselves the first half with a 5, and we'll see you in a few minutes after the break.
You feel like something new. You feel like something. You feel like something new. You feel like something. Don't just stop it. Doing what you do. When I lay back, holding on to you. Ooh, ooh. Feel like something new. Yeah. Got my senses here on overload. All my body is for you to hold. Ooh.
All right, folks, we're ready to go back into the second half of the first best of 1. And of course, getting info took a bit of a slow start, but at least they can get themselves 5 rounds to end the first. And now Legacy going to be able to showcase us, Paladin, a little bit of what they can do on that defensive side.
This is where I feel like they do some of their best work. There's a lot of great tethering between these teams, these teammates. And we'll see what they've got in store to start off. It's a B execution here from getting info, but they're dual Berettas lying right around the corner. Lux just gonna go to town, but he gets knocked up with only 1. Lotto's there to trade instantly, and Assad's in alongside him finding kills, but it's Nissim through the smoke, and Nissim with a triple. That's an impactful couple of kills there from the anchor, and he just shuts it down. Any chance of a comeback is stopped.
Oh boy, yeah, and I mean, it's so obvious to say the pistol means a lot, but I mean, for getting info in this kind of a case, it really just felt like it, right? And just in terms of them building some momentum on the first, and then getting this pistol would have just allowed this to be a really, really close encounter. But now, Legacy have just made that a whole heck of a lot harder for getting info. But I'm actually kind of surprised here, Paladin. I mean, you know, a lot of teams have a weird mixture on their second round when they win, but I'm actually surprised to see how many FAMASas and, you know, the M4 that we have equipped on this one.
So they're really backing the mechanics of these players, but it's the SMG of Lotto that's going to do the damage anyways. Should be all good now for Legacy to get themselves their ninth, but you can already see the kind of potency in that pistol round between players playing off of each other, right? I mean, you've got Lux taking that first contact, but you've got two players already in the back of the default. You've already got a player off of long as well, and a rotating player from short. And there's that instant, like, bob and weave for every single shot taken was perfect. It set people up beautifully, and it's probably a bit more of a tale as to what you're going to see in the rest of the second half, if I had to guess. But it does get a little tougher now with getting info, getting their rifles on the board. Instant smoke into the lane, and they'll be stopped right at the feet of T-Spawn.
Yeah, that's the thing, like when you know, a good CT team has the utility to be able to block, you know, the B main door like this, and just double mollies and things like that. Like when you have the right timing and the right spawns for it, it makes such an impact against the T's, right? Because now you can see the four of them are just sitting back here, and again, like they don't have a lot to work with. Now their smoke is going to push them through, so they either have to burn some utility, which again is limited. Let's not forget, they don't have the flashes to just pop through this. They have one flash available, so Marky's going to literally have to hit the best banger ever for his teammates to kind of flood out of this. But right now, they could even pull back, looking like that's going to be the case in this one. So maybe they re-aggress for mid-control. I mean, this is a little awkward because time's ticking.
They've just thrown a third smoke there, and maybe that goads them into a false sense of security, thinking that there are three players here. But with the third player rotating back over, but that molly should slow things down. Now the mid-clear late round comes from getting info. Dumal will get that first spot, and he gets a little bit of a pick, so he'll call his teammates over, but they've got to come through right now. Incendiary's down. Nissim burns out a second, and now it's all up to Dumal. They're never clearing out this angle, and he'll find himself a quick two-piece as well. It's all up to Dia coming in from A main, but that rotation's finally come through, and it's double digits for Legacy.
Double digits indeed. So 10-5 we go. And, you know, I was kind of getting nervous, I'm going to be honest, Paladin. Like, the fact that, you know, Legacy was putting, again, so much emphasis in the utility on the B door. I was kind of thinking, like, mid was open. I mean, they had the system where I think it was Dumao kind of, like, floating in Donut and things like that. But, again, their protocols are honestly just next level, right? I mean, that's where we were kind of talking about, you know, a team that has a pretty abysmal record right now in ECL. Like, they really are that team, and, you know, the VRS points that are so close to pushing themselves in decent category. Oh, my God, and that's kind of why, too. And things are just looking problematic. Unless, you know, we could see something big with Derek. It's rewarded with an AK. He will not. But now his teammates needing to bring pistols to the gunfight, and they're not doing bad here, but I mean, this timing is Shane. He might be able to find him, but oh no. Oh dear, no. He's just shot a bit too early on it. Now looking for another fight, get eaten alive, and now Dia by himself. I don't even know where he's going to go at this point.
To his death, most likely. Nothing but a Tech 9 and a flashbang. Can't even pick any weapons up either. It's going to have to be a straight duel to Nissim. Nissim calls for backup, and he doesn't need backup. Of course he doesn't. He's Nissim, 15-9 now. 11 rounds the good. I mean, even in that setup there that they had on that A site, they understood that there's only two players there and there's a bit of an opening. They hold that incendiary, though, for so long. And not only do getting info have to waste a smoke there, but they've got to go... Essentially, the last two players have got to go gray screen. And that means you're going to be skipping angles. You're going to have to basically have your crosshair on one position on the map. And that gives a free, easy bait and switch setup for Dumal. It's just so nice to see that they're already thinking steps ahead when they've got an idea in mind. Their idea, they're going to continue to smoke off B main. They're going to hold on to lane for as long as possible, and they're going to spend as much utility as possible as well. But in the case that that doesn't work out and they don't come popping through the smoke, how do we hold on to A? And that's the perfect solution. I mean, they've got every T crossed, they've got every I dotted, and it just feels like they can't miss a beat. This is an elite Ancient team.
It really is, and that's what we were kind of talking about in the pre-show, you know, on the desk, is just the fact that, you know, we can argue a lot what's on the paper about records and how well they've been able to perform, but really, I feel like for a team like Legacy, it stays true to it, right? That's where we were saying 7-2. They played some really good competition on this. They really haven't taken too many losses, and they've been a pretty big widespread of the losses, right? Like earlier, just recently, and then the last one was like over a month and something ago. So it makes a huge difference. Whereas getting info, I think you made a really good point in the beginning, was talking about kind of an awkward like identity crisis a little bit, because they're still kind of flip-flopping the rosters. We lost Vanity earlier on. Like there's all these things that are happening behind the scenes for these guys, so it always makes it not the easiest situation to play in those kind of like internal playing conditions. But that's where we also said that what makes this an interesting matchup is the fact that Legacy have just given up so many matches. And I mean, they should be fine theoretically, but like you said, they have to be able to come in with 2-0s, pretty much never taking a loss, just to making sure they really can get that guaranteed bare minimum top 10 spot.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if Legacy went to South America and failed in a lot of their qualifiers, but they've done a very good job in terms of getting everything that they needed out of that stint back at home. And now I think they've kind of got this rejuvenated sense to them when they come back to the States and they say, okay, we've just got to put pedal to the metal and just win out. It's a very simple question for them, and I don't think they really care about where they're going to be placed in the bracket. They've got that swagger to them right now, where no matter what the placing is, whether they start in the lower bracket or not, they should be contending for that spot at Pro League. And I mean, it just gets more and more cutthroat as every season goes on. You like to think, because this time we don't have two spots to give; we only have the one. And with NRG hounding for a repeat appearance, with Blue Jays jumping up the ranks with their good LAN appearances, it just feels like Legacy belongs in that conversation too. But uh, of course, they've got to get there, and this is that first step. If they can get over this hump, I think they'll cruise through no problem, because after that, they've got a lot of teams that I think they're very capable of beating, even with some of the harder hitters still around the corner. They've still got to play Nouns, I believe. They've still got to play Marsborn, and they haven't played NRG yet. So those are the three kind of top dogs that I think that are kind of remaining as of right now that they haven't played. And as soon as they get that out of the way, it does feel like they can win any game that's thrown at them. And even those games that I mentioned, I think those are very doable as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, because like it's easy to talk about the competition, because really getting info for me, despite them being like, again, we talked about the records, right? Like the opposite records, like 14-2, definitely impressive. And I mean, what actually I thought was pretty interesting in the very beginning, I think, of the year, was the fact that getting info was able to find like wins over NRG, which I mean, now we talk about Energy right in their current form. Like they've been playing a lot more internationally. They've been getting some good experience. That was kind of the early iteration of that roster. So you can call it whatever you want. But yeah, I think for Legacy, once they're going to be able to play some of these other teams, like the higher level teams in ECL, that's where a lot of things are going to get definitely really, really interesting, just because there's a lot at stake, right? I mean, for them, like they have a lot to prove. We know that they have a capability of being a pretty decent international team, but like when we talk about VRS points and the fact for this league, there's a lot riding for them. They have to just make sure that they can do just enough to get themselves those points, and that's always a big conversation too. I think we could talk about even the VRS points for forever, but just how complicated it is. But it makes things even more interesting in the sense of how much is at stake for so many of these teams, right?
It's very weird. They had this new addendum, and I don't necessarily know if that's in place yet, but essentially you're going to have to wait until the entire event is over for the VRS points to count. So everything that's being notched here for ECL will not count towards Austin, because the event won't be done until May 10th, which is like around the corner. The invites would have already been given out by that point. So as far as ECL is concerned, it's like that's not the pressure for them. I think their eyes are more set upon how can we get that Pro League spot. I mean, you've seen what NRG was able to get out of it, and they got a couple of solid victories and a couple of good map victories as well. Pushed a lot of top teams, and I think that for Legacy, they would love to be in that situation again. And luckily for them, they will be at a top tier event in the near future. Another event that I don't think necessarily will count for VRS, considering I think the cutoff is April 7th For MRQ invites, I might be wrong on that. Please don't hold me to a standard there. But in that situation, it's just nice that they've got opportunities now. They qualified to Dallas as well. So a very busy schedule for Legacy, and honestly, I think there is a real world where they can ride that momentum all the way to the major to start at stage one if they want to and kind of climb their way up. I think this team is capable. I think this is one of those teams that have very quietly gone under the radar. I mean, you've got so many high profile teams right now in South America that are getting a lot of eyeballs. When you look at Fluxo with Art, when you look at Red Canids with Cold Zera, and you look at Imperial with Vinny, but you got all those splashy names, but under the hood of it all, Legacy have been very quietly accumulating points, winning games right in front of them against top opposition. And I think they are one of those sleeper teams that are going to be very surprising when it comes to that MRQ range. Because obviously they're not going to get the invites. They're not close enough to nab that. That's Furia's job. But when it comes down to the MRQs, I think when you've got to give out 3 spots to any one of these teams, I think this team is very quickly at the top of it because, again, there's so many teams in flux right now that I can't necessarily even say that I've got a clear favorite across the board. I think I'd say maybe Legacy. I'd say maybe I had one right in my face. I completely forgot. Fluxo, yeah, Fluxo have improved a lot as well. Now that they've added MLH in, he's been really good. I've really been liking him. And I believe there's a third. There's got to be a third team. Come on now, let's pull it up. Oh yeah, Bestia's pretty good. Bestia's okay, and it looks like Imperial are also in that conversation. So there's a lot of competition there. For those 3 spots at stage 1. But as you can tell, we've got a little bit of a tech issue. We're sorting it out. We're gonna get back in a game soon, but we've got plenty of time to just talk about the scene as it is, and I don't know, man. I'm getting very excited for Austin. Of course, I'm going to be a viewer there. I'm very excited to attend my first major. I haven't had the chance to be there as a viewer ever. So that'll be really fun. It's in my home state, so that'll be really cool. And you got all these teams, man, and it's like I feel like this is one of those times where I'm so tapped. I like when I was in 2018 with the Boston major. I don't think I was nearly as tapped in. I mean, I was watching pretty closely, but I feel like now with how my job and working with all these teams and then watching all these teams, seeing the possibilities happen right before you, and you get to potentially see these teams there. It's a very exciting thing, don't you think?
Yeah, honestly, it is, and like you said, it's definitely one of those interesting things when any viewer, hopefully, some people in the chat are also going to the major, just because that's a whole other thing, right? It's just like a different experience. It'll be my first time seeing a major as well, so get to watch like one of the highest level competitions, which makes it even more exciting. And that's again, going into the facts about the VRS system, where I was kind of wondering how that was going to work out for teams going, and I didn't know if there would be any weird changes right before, things like that. So I mean, it's such an exciting time for CS. It really, really is. Like, I feel like we can always say that, but I feel like 2025 has already proven to be really good so far, with a lot of really good events, with a mixture of results as well. So the fact that the major is only a couple months away is kind of crazy to think about, and it's a lot to digest, but it makes it really fun. So heck yeah.
Yeah, the mixture of results is what makes me so excited, because it reminds me a lot of tournaments of old, where we would have tier 1 tournaments all the time, and you wouldn't have all the teams showing up, so you would have various different teams winning through, and you wouldn't really have the answers until something like a Kato, like a Cologne, or a major, where everybody was there. And I feel like that's kind of happening now. Of course, Vitality clearly are that team to beat. Everybody's in an arms race to kind of topple them before we head to Austin. But down in NA and SA, I think there's a lot of really exciting things going on there too. I mean, I looked at the MRQ list, and man, the best part is you got everyone there. Like, you got everyone that you could want, and I'm not skipping anybody. I think it's going to be as cutthroat as it can possibly be, and there's no free wins. Like, NA MRQ, M80, Complexity, NRG, Blue Jays, Nouns, PA, Mars weren't getting info. Like, that is Like, those are objectively the 8 best teams that we can have. And we've put in the right teams as well to move forward. Wildcard and Liquid on those NA spots. But folks, we're back in the game. We should be ready to go for Legacy taking on Getting Info, and 2 teams that are in that MRQ stage as of right now, of course, barring anything crazy from happening. But yeah, that really kind of puts the gravitas and puts the scale factor on this game here specifically, and what's at stake for teams like Legacy, like Getting Info, that are knocking at the door at potentially playing in the big state of Texas.
It definitely is, yeah, and it's very true. So, look, it was a nice break, good little podcast session from us, and thank you all for bearing with us. We were just waiting for some tech issues, and 11-5 looks like it is going to be the score, and we're ready to go back into this and Getting Info needing to be able to pull something through. I mean, this is where we said Legacy have put themselves in a great veto position. Now we're going to see them once again get this mid control, and even Dumal. Yeah, he's a little bit impatient. He wants to just go for the duels right away, but it's actually Nissim that's able to start things off. But again, Dumal might be able to get the timing of this. These guys are not waiting for him. And oh man, Marky, I don't know why he predicts this, but he's able to find it. And now Sodzin even can't even be able to find the crossing through that smoke. So this is interesting now, Paladin, and Getting Info. I was thinking things were looking a little worse for wear, but they seem to show a bit of pulse and some life in this round still.
Ooh, Sadzin misses a sitter. It feels like that one should have connected, but he's going to go hungry for more. Has got the dance between the Molotov and the smoke, but look at that, man. Carson pushing through the utility, and he'll find himself a second. Lotto now thrust into the 1v3, and this one is a toughie. Getting Info live to fight another day, and it's at a very opportune time when their backs are furthest against the wall. Oh, Carson misses one with the AWP. But a couple of chances there for Legacy to close, and Getting Info do pounce on those mistakes.
Yeah, what a weird round. Like, even the fact that Sodzin was so close, and I thought he was maybe going to get that shot off through the smoke, but not a bad round. I mean, Legacy, once again, like, they put themselves in a good amount in the beginning of this, but it was just, losing that mid control is a little bit dire. And the fact that Dumal played such an aggressive angle, I like the idea. The fact that he pushed on, B short like that. But unfortunately, the fact that, Marky, I have no idea what Marky would even peek that, like, turn around. Like, I guess he might have saw him maybe through the edge of the smoke or something. I have no idea, but that honestly saved them, because Dumal was in a position where he could have just waited things out. He could have played a little bit more patient, and he might have been able to find a double kill. So that really could have turned things around. So I got to give it to Marky. I put him as like a round MVP, just in terms of maybe not all the kills, but just that one duel alone, in my perspective, made a huge impact.
Yeah, could have shut down the round before it even begun, and Getting Info will have to thank him for the good looks there. But this time, B-Lane granted to them pretty swimmingly. Dumal goes jumping through the smoke and doesn't catch. Another awkward timing. This time, Carson, the benefactor. And Lotto cannot help his teammate, even though he's pushed some T's back. That nade might be good for some damage, and it absolutely is. Brings Dare down to a striking 4 HP. But Getting Info got everything they were looking for. And to make matters worse, they found Sodzin as well. That's just a dry swing there from Shane. And Getting Info bearing down on Legacy round by round here. And instead of pulling the trigger on all this B lane control, they're going to go back to middle, back to Red Room, and back to Donut. This is where Nissim has got to really make a decision. Does he want to commit to cutting off the Red Room rotation, or does he want to play on A? And it looks like the former. And as soon as that bomb hits the ground, he's just going to turn around, tuck tail back to that B bomb site, and save. But with the money accrued now for Getting Info, the hunt is definitely advisable.
Yeah, I think this would be a good, it could definitely happen right now, just in terms, like, they got all 5 players. They can definitely sacrifice a person or two. I mean, it would definitely be worth it, because it would make a huge impact. Oh, Lux, I was going to say he might be able to find the shot off here, but at least the trade back. And now this is where you can see getting info. I mean, they're still kind of committing. It looks like Carson might be the one that's going to try to go for this one more time. Lotto, surprisingly, still kind of jiggling this fight. But he might get outnumbered, but I guess that's just going to not allow him to get this op. And I mean, maybe he might be able to, and indeed he will. Unless we see a big swing here, and Dare's actually going to go down. So kind of a weird sort of an exit round and them keeping guns. But yeah, he's going to be able to preserve it. And man, this thing just keeps getting weirder and weirder with the round we go.
And now I believe we're just going to get game audio back in. So apologies once more. We're just going to get that sorted out real quick. But I do think this is one of those situations now where they've run out of money. And Legacy will not be able to close just yet. At least you'll have the opportunity for just getting Sadzin back on that AWP. And we'll see what he can get done there. But you can start to see the ideas from getting info looking a little stronger, being a little bit more confident in their approach to taking some map control, being a little bit more gung-ho about taking lane, fighting middle there accordingly as well. And unfortunately, they've just not, on the Legacy side, it's been Dumal that's just been getting unlucky. He's basically had a couple of multi-kills on a silver platter, and the timing has eluded him twice now. And because of that, all of a sudden the game is slowed to a crawl, and they cannot close. So, not what you'd like to see, but at least you've got that to kind of think about. They're not going to just roll over here, right? They're not deflated by this comeback happening. They know what can be fixed in due time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, honestly, like, when I kind of think of teams like Legacy, you know, I even if, like, they've lost a couple rounds in a row, like, they got a good amount of rounds in their favor. Things are looking all right. Getting info really are the team that I always kind of question, you know, about, like, mental strength and stuff like that, and being able to bring things back. So, like I said, I was kind of surprised at the way the first half went. Like, it was looking like it was going to be a quick game, but they proved me wrong. They're able to make themselves a little bit more of a fighting chance. And, oh, man, you talk about fighting chance. I was thinking Sodson might have been able to get himself a second life, maybe. Thinking he was going to be a cat with 9 lives, but instead he's only got the 1, and now to spam with Dia. So this thing's falling apart very quickly. Aggressive swing from Nissim, surprisingly. I don't know why he goes for it on his lonesome. A nice pop flash from Dumal. Ooh, he gets rewarded with an AK. Again, he does have the armor, so he doesn't have to worry about the aim punch. But again, gonna have to worry about bullets going to the face, because that's gonna be a lot. And now, oh my God, Lotto, the last minute timing there. So down to the 1v1. Dare able to pick up this bomb. But he's going to hightail it. He's going to make his way into the safe site. He's got the smoke as well. So that's going to get thrown potentially for CT. So he can get himself a decent reposition. Oh, God. Paladin. He's just going to commit to the open plant. Instead, he's going to just... This is so ballsy.
But now all the pressure back on Alato. No kit. Very capable opper. Has secondaried a number of times, but now... he's the only one left standing. He's given up his position. Molly's off temple. He's going to have to shirk back, but with so many angles to clear and not enough time, Lotto will just have to head for the hills. And that was a save. You know, they can still reinvest in the round following, but they would have loved to have notched 12 with that one. Especially with all the good work that Sadzin did, with the quick flank from Dumal as well. But at the end of the day, 3 rounds now racked up in a row for getting info. Legacy will have to start thinking long, hard about what's coming next, because it's getting a little close for comfort.
Yeah, honestly, like, let's not forget, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was like, I feel like it was like 6-2 at one point? 6-1? 5-1? Something. Yeah, 6-1, and like, again, like, it's just been getting info, putting themselves back in good fighting form. I was thinking maybe they were going to be able to find this, and Lotto this time is going to try the Dumal Express here, and that pop smoke. Oh man, you gotta get out there. Now Lux might be able to go for the backstab, and indeed he will. Good coordination. The fact that Lotto was able to stay alive was critical in that play. So the fact they're able to do that and play the buddy system like this has just put them in a strong position with a 5-on-2. Dia and Dare, though, I mean, again, these guys are some of the top fraggers on this team. So not a bad situation to be in. But again, look at that bomb. It's in the worst position for them. This might be a tough one to go for. I mean, they got a molly on Dia. They also have the HE. Good. They could try to flush some of these players out if they want, but it's all about the timing. And Dia has to be able to good distraction point here. He has to be able to allow Dare to go for the swing. But unfortunately, you can only find the one. So this round should be in favor here for Legacy to get themselves to that point. And indeed they will. Dumao equips the big green. 12 on the board.
I would call that an unlosable round there, Laz, in that situation. Bomb down the front of lane. A player watching mid, a player watching doors. That's an open and shut case. And finally, they've been looking for that lane control, the aggression up on top of the boxes, and finally Lotto can get up there safely, somewhat. Makes a lot of noise, but does allow for Lux to come through and save the day. All this damage that Legacy have been doing, they're hampered by to defend. Good grenade open the smoke. Nissim finds one, but his teammate falls instantaneously. They're charging into this A-bomb site. Here comes the cavalry. Lotto here, alongside his trusty duo in the leave it all up to Shane and Carson. Leave it just to Shane, and that's it. As quickly as that comeback started, Laz, it ends just as swiftly. Legacy get themselves 13 rounds on the board, and they start off this series hot.
Yeah, they really do. And honestly, like, it was a really strong start in the beginning. Kind of fizzled a little bit, kind of slowed down a